Scanlon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think what has been kind of striking with the amendments that have been offered by this panel, the one before, probably the one after, is the number of folks who are seeking oversight of federal agencies on a variety of topics. And I think that's in large part because Congress is not exercising the oversight that it's our responsibility to do. And it's even more necessary now than it has ever been before, because we've seen this White House fire the inspectors general who ordinarily perform a great deal of this oversight and helps us get transparency and find out where there actually is fraud, waste, and abuse. And also because we've seen the Department of Justice weaponized in some really strange ways. People pulled off their traditional jobs of dealing with the kinds of criminal activity, et cetera, that we're talking about looking at in these cases. So that's one point. I think needing these amendments to ensure that we're conducting oversight is really important. And there's probably no better way to do that than attaching it to funding bills to make sure that people don't get to spend the money unless they're complying with congressional intent. The second thing is, I don't think anyone's saying that all ICE agents are bad, but what we are seeing is a lot of bad conduct by some ICE agents. We've repeatedly heard about ICE agents who've been threatened in the course of their duties, but what we are seeing in Minnesota, in Chicago, in other places, if you take the time to go and look, is things like a teaching assistant in Minneapolis when we were out there last week who was driving to work in the morning, American citizen, her car is rammed by an ICE agent's car, and they detain her and hold her for 12 hours. American citizen has done nothing wrong, but she gets swept up by an ICE agent. Or the ICE agents who tossed a canister of tear gas underneath a car of a family with 6 kids in the car, and they're just trying to drive home from a basketball game. The force of that canister going off caused the car to jump, all the airbags deployed, the tear gas comes in the car, and the 6-month-old infant ends up not breathing and has to go to the hospital. So clearly we have ICE agents who are not acting in a way that is consistent with our Constitution. Just Friday, a judge in Minneapolis said they are using excessive force, they are violating people's First Amendment rights. So there is a huge need for oversight and reining in. And then the last thing, not on the topic of ICE, I'm very grateful to Mr. Larson for bringing his amendment with respect to these grotesque invasions of privacy at the Social Security Administration. You know, when the Doge brothers and everyone started coming in March and sweeping up data and getting into people's business at Social Security, a lot of my constituents were really upset. They came out, they protested, they said, what are you going to do to make sure that people aren't just invading our private data and using it for purposes that we don't want them to? And now we have even this administration having to admit that their Doge brothers who were in there with their fingers in everyone's data were actually working with outside political operatives who had purely political purposes. So again, there is a lot of oversight Congress should be doing. There's a lot of oversight that needs to get done by inspectors general, et cetera. So I really appreciate all the attention that you folks are bringing to these issues and would support the amendments. Thank you.